Welcome to Pop Flashback. I'm your host, Rick Smalls, alongside my partner in crime, Tina Boucher.
Hey, everyone.
Today we're looking into a phenomenon that shaped childhoods for generations. The rise of Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes.
Why kids in the 1980s loved waking up early?
Well, it wasn't just about the cartoons themselves.
Where?
It was a carefully crafted experience that began the moment you woke up.
Uh-huh.
Picture this. You're a kid in the 80s, and it's Saturday morning.
Okay.
The sun is barely up, but you're already wide awake,
Right.
fueled by sugary cereal,
Yeah.
and the anticipation of hours of animated adventures.
I remember those mornings vividly. I'd practically sprint to the living room,
Uh-huh.
ready to be transported to fantastical worlds.
Right.
And the networks were masters at keeping us hooked.
Absolutely. They understood the psychology of young viewers.
Yeah.
Shows were strategically scheduled, flowing seamlessly from one to the next,
Right.
creating a sort of television vortex.
Yeah.
It was nearly impossible to escape.
It was like they'd figured out the perfect formula to keep us glued to the screen.
Mm,
But it wasn't just about keeping kids entertained, was it?
not at all.
Oh,
This was a time when the market for toys and merchandise was exploding,
okay.
and cartoons became a brilliant marketing tool.
Wow.
Shows like He-Man, Transformers, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles weren't just entertainment.
Right.
They were 30-minute commercials designed to sell action figures, lunchboxes,
Oh, yeah.
and everything in between.
It's fascinating how the content of these cartoons evolved alongside the changing regulatory landscape.
Mm-hmm.
In the 70s, there were stricter rules governing what could be shown to children,
Mm-hmm.
leading to more educational programming like Schoolhouse Rock.
That's right.
Yeah. Concerns about violence and excessive commercialism in children's programming led to these tighter regulations.
Yeah.
But by the 1980s,
Right.
with the deregulation efforts under President Reagan, the floodgates opened for a wave of toy-based cartoons. And what a wave it was. Shows like Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles weren't just popular. They were cultural phenomena.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That fueled our imaginations and sparked countless playground battles with imaginary laser beams and ninja stars.
And, while some might argue that these shows were simply vehicles to sell toys, many of them were surprisingly well crafted.
Okay.
Take DuckTales, for example.
DuckTales, yeah.
It wasn't just about Scrooge McDuck and his nephews adventuring for treasure.
Right?
The show cleverly incorporated elements of classic literature and pop culture references
Oh, wow.
that appealed to both children and adults.
Now that you mention it, I do recall some Indiana Jones and Sherlock Holmes vibes in there. It's amazing how they managed to layer those references in a way that kids could enjoy
Mm-hmm.
while also entertaining adults.
Exactly.
Mm.
It speaks to the talent of the writers and animators behind these shows.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't just churning out mindless entertainment. They were creating engaging stories with humor,
Yeah.
heart, and surprisingly sophisticated references that added depth and longevity to the shows.
It's clear that those 80s cartoons had a major cultural impact.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It continues to resonate today.
Absolutely.
But, like all good things, the era of Saturday morning cartoons as we knew it eventually came to an end.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the factors that led to its decline?
Well, for starters, the rise of cable networks,
Right.
like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network and Disney Channel,
Right.
fragmented the television landscape, offering kids a wider range of viewing options beyond the traditional broadcast networks.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Suddenly, cartoons were available 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
not just on Saturday mornings.
Right.
How did this shift affect the content and programming strategies of both cable and broadcast networks?
Well, cable networks were able to cater to more specific audiences
Right.
and experiment with different genres and formats. They weren't bound by the same advertising constraints as broadcast networks
Right.
and could take more creative risks.
So while cable networks were embracing this new era of animation,
Mm-hmm.
broadcast networks struggled to adapt.
Yeah.
It's almost ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
They tried to replace cartoons with teen-oriented programming,
Yeah.
hoping to attract a wider audience.
Right.
But,
And it backfired spectacularly.
oh, wow.
Some of those shows intended for a younger demographic ended up with an average viewer age well over 40.
That's incredible. It seems they underestimated the enduring appeal of cartoons and the power of nostalgia.
Definitely.
Speaking of nostalgia, what about the impact of changing viewership measurement methods?
Mm-hmm.
Did that play a role in the decline of Saturday morning cartoons?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As the way audiences were measured evolved, so did the network's priorities,
Okay.
with a greater emphasis on specific demographics and audience segmentation.
Right.
The broad appeal of Saturday morning cartoons became less valuable from a business perspective.
So it's a combination of factors.
Yeah.
The rise of cable-changing viewership metrics and a misfire in programming strategy that ultimately led to the decline of Saturday morning cartoons as we knew them. But even though the landscape of children's entertainment has changed dramatically,
Right.
the legacy of those classic cartoons lives on.
You're right.
Yeah.
Those cartoons weren't just shows. They were a shared cultural experience that shaped our childhoods and continue to influence pop culture today. From movies and video games to fashion and music, the impact of those Saturday morning adventures is undeniable.
It's remarkable how those shows have managed to transcend generations,
It really is.
captivating both those who grew up with them and introducing new audiences to their timeless appeal.
For sure.
It really is amazing to think about how these shows managed to capture lightning in a bottle. They were entertaining, they were marketing juggernauts, and they left an undeniable cultural footprint.
It's that potent combination that makes them so fascinating to study. They weren't just cartoons, they were a reflection of the times.
Okay.
A snapshot of cultural trends, anxieties, and aspirations.
So if we take a closer look at the 80s specifically, what do those cartoons tell us about that era? What were the underlying themes and values that resonated with kids?
Well, the 80s were a time of economic prosperity and technological advancement.
Right.
And you can see those influences reflected in the cartoons. There was a sense of optimism, a belief that anything was possible, that technology could solve any problem.
You see that in shows like Transformers, where robots from outer space use their advanced technology to battle evil. And in He-Man, where the hero wielded the power of technology and magic to defend his kingdom.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about technology. There was also a strong emphasis on individualism and personal empowerment. Characters like He-Man and the Thundercats were all about taking responsibility, fighting for what's right, and overcoming challenges through personal strength and determination.
Those themes definitely resonated with me as a kid.
Yeah.
It was all about believing in yourself,
Yeah.
standing up for what you believe in, and never giving up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And these themes were often presented in a way that was both entertaining and relatable for kids.
Right.
The storylines were engaging, the characters were memorable, and the action was always exciting.
But beneath the surface of all that action and adventure, there were also some deeper messages about morality, teamwork,
Right.
and the importance of family and friendship.
You're right.
Yeah.
Shows like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and DuckTales emphasize the importance of working together to overcome obstacles. The heroes might have had their disagreements,
Yeah.
but they always came together in the end to defeat the bad guys.
And let's not forget the power of those unforgettable theme songs.
Oh, yeah.
They were like mini anthems that captured the spirit of the shows and got us pumped for the adventures to come.
Totally.
I can still sing along to every word of the Transformers and Thundercats themes.
Those theme songs were brilliant pieces of marketing in themselves.
Oh, yeah?
They were catchy, memorable, and perfectly encapsulated the essence of the shows.
Thinking back on it now, it's remarkable how those cartoons managed to balance entertainment marketing
Yeah.
and subtle life lessons all in a 30-minute package.
It was a delicate balance,
Yeah,
and they pulled it off masterfully.
they really did.
But, as we discussed earlier, the landscape of children's entertainment eventually shifted, and the era of Saturday morning cartoons as we knew it faded away.
But their influence lives on.
For sure.
Those cartoons had a profound impact on our childhoods. And their legacy continues to shape pop culture today.
It does.
It makes me wonder what future generations will look back on with the same sense of nostalgia and fondness.
It's an intriguing question, isn't it?
It is.
As technology continues to evolve and the ways we consume entertainment change,
Right.
it'll be fascinating to see what new forms of storytelling capture the imaginations of children in the years to come.
Perhaps one day they'll look back on the streaming services and virtual reality experiences of their youth
Yeah.
with the same warmth and affection we have for those Saturday morning cartoons. And even though the way we consume entertainment has changed drastically,
Right.
that sense of connection, the love for storytelling, hasn't faded.
You're right. The medium might be different.
Yeah.
Streaming services on demand, viewing video games.
Yeah.
But the desire to be entertained, to be transported to other worlds, remains the same.
So while the golden age of Saturday morning cartoons might be over, their spirit lives on.
It does.
In a way, they paved the way for the diverse and expansive world of animation we have today.
Absolutely. The creativity, the humor, the action-packed adventures.
Right.
Those elements are still present in modern animation, just in different forms.
It's exciting to think about how animation will continue to evolve.
It is.
And what new stories will capture the imaginations of future generations.
Who knows what the future holds?
Yeah.
Maybe one day kids will look back on our current era of entertainment with the same fondness we have for those Saturday morning cartoons.
Maybe they'll reminisce about binge-watching their favorite animated series on streaming platforms.
Right.
Or the immersive worlds they explored in virtual reality.
It's a fascinating thought.
It is.
But one thing's for sure, the power of storytelling. The ability to transport us to other worlds and ignite our imaginations will always be with us.
Well said, Tina. And on that note, we got to wrap things up. But thanks for joining us on Pop Flashback, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Remember to like and subscribe so you can get our next episode.
And let us know your favorite Saturday morning cartoon.
Catch you next time.